There's so many innovative products right now with the lenders and COVID-19 that are coming out. I'm going to give you an example. They're promoting 3 for free.
Welcome. This is Edmonton Real Estate Today. I am your host, LeRoy Warden, and today I have with me 2 very special guests. Sandy Fisher, she's VP of Tango Financial, and Sheryl Stevens of Remax Real Estate. Sandy and Sheryl, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
LeRoy, thanks for having us.
Hey guys, so it's wonderful having you guys here. There's about 7,200 homes on the market currently. Now, people out there are wanting to buy and sell, and they're kind of wondering, what should they do in this type of market?
Well, LeRoy, I think it's a great time to buy in this market. Spring is always when the market is hot. People want to get outside. The weather's starting to finally be great. So I think it's a great time to get pre-approved. I think people should work with a mortgage broker. And I think that because a mortgage broker has access to several lenders with innovative products. How does that old saying go? Adversity is the mother of all invention. So during this COVID time, there's lots of new and innovative products that lenders are offering. When you get pre-approved, say with a mortgage broker, they're gonna pre-qualify you and get that extra paperwork that's required. And you wonder, well, why are they doing all this work? Why are they gathering all this paperwork? Getting pre-qualified, discussing any issues that may or may not come up, so that when you work with that realtor and you want to make that offer, that you know that the tough, heavy lifting is done and that you're going to be able to be competitive in that situation.
No, and honestly, I would actually tag right into that, Sandy, and say the whole thing about this market is, I think, again, we all know that business is still out there, but the key is, again, doing that background research. And I know it's really important. If you have that agent and you really discuss your criteria and form a plan up front, I think the key is that we look at things online, we narrow down our search, whereas years ago there was more, let me go to whatever houses, let me see 30 homes before I make a decision. I think now the key is having that trusted agent where you narrow down your criteria, you see a lot more virtual tours, and then you pick your top 3 and go view them in person. Because I think the key is the background research more than it's ever been before.
Tell me, the Real Estate Association, they reported that the average price of a single family home is $410,000. Condos are at $424,000. Duplexes at $330,000. Now, since mortgage rates have been fluctuating recently, how would you say home prices and mortgage rates, have they bottomed out, and therefore is this the greatest time for people to get out there and buy a home?
The thing is, none of us have a crystal ball. And so we don't know exactly where the bottom is. And I think the key is that every community will be different. Even though people think there's no business happening, there's actually been multiple offers in this marketplace, but it comes down again, supply and demand. There's certain areas that have a little bit more demand, and therefore the market will be affected differently. So can we say it's bottomed out? I would say no.
I like what you said, Sheryl, about the crystal ball, because that's exactly what I say. I always say, if I had a crystal ball, I wouldn't need to work. And although the Bank of Canada overnight rate is only 0.25%, mortgage rates don't necessarily follow suit. So people think, oh, the Bank of Canada rate is 0.25%. Wow, interest rates must be super low. Unfortunately, they don't follow suit. And when the Bank of Canada initially reduced that overnight rate, interest rates actually went up. Due to COVID-19, liquidity, investor confidence, there's so many factors that drive mortgage rates. But I'll say that as a result of the government's quick response to assisting Canadians with different programs, interest rates have been trickling down. The other thing I want to say is not all interest rates are the same. People used to call mortgage brokers, say, what's your best rate? That's not even a factor anymore. It depends if you're purchasing, if you're refinancing, if it's a rental property, if it's a transfer. So all of these products all have different interest rates. So no interest rate, not one interest rate is the same anymore. But I believe anytime you get an interest rate under 3%, you're doing amazing.
A lot of homeowners would be experiencing financial difficulty during this time of this COVID pandemic. What should they know about payment deferrals? And also during these difficult times, would people be forced to sell their homes?
I'd like to talk a little bit about that because I think mortgage deferrals is on top of everybody's mind right now. One thing I want to say about mortgage deferrals is not to be an ostrich. Do not bury your head in the sand and expect it to go away. Communication at this time is essential and key. If you're facing a hardship, whether it be a job loss, a cut in income, then all means do not hesitate to ask your lender to defer your mortgage payment. But remember, this is a mortgage payment deferral, not a mortgage payment vacation. This mortgage payments will be added on the end of your term. And yes, you will be paying more interest. One thing I want you to note, though, is that if you do, there is a deadline in place if you do want to defer your mortgage payments. It's June 30th, 2020. I also think you should speak with your mortgage professional, your mortgage broker, regarding the deferral program and have them explain the process in greater detail so you really do have a good understanding whether or not this is a good idea for your personal circumstances.
LeRoy, you were actually asking if homeowners will be forced to sell. And I think, you know what, in some cases they may, and some of them may choose to sell to kind of get ahead of any debts. Like if they've already been carrying lots of debt and already paycheck to paycheck, you know, I think some of those people may decide to sell and downsize just to, you know, take the pressure off. You know, and then there's always people that, again, if they've been in debt the last few years, we may see more foreclosures come on, which is sad. Make sure you talk to your agent and have them listening to sort of maybe why you're selling. Because I know I'm very much the agent that, Sandy, if you called me and just said, I just want to sell because, you know, I'm scared and I want to downsize. Again, I'd be that person to really talk through going, is it the best move? Because it's not always the best move, because if you're paying, you know, legal fees to transfer, you're obviously selling your place. But if you don't have enough equity in it, if you maybe lost your job and you can't qualify, like there's so many factors. But I think it's really important is talk to your professional and figure out the best strategy for you.
Absolutely.
The average days on market for a single family home is 58 days. Condos are 71 and duplexes are 74 days. So what guidance would you give to someone wanting to sell their home quickly?
The key would be discussing with their realtor and really positioning their home really well, price point wise, for what the competition has done, like and what the sales were, as well as the competition of where's all the actives in the marketplace. So if they should look like show really well and are price positioned well, they will succeed. And I think part of the public needs to know that as realtors, we're really wanting to make sure that they feel safe out there looking. So part of our protocol would be when we go look at homes, the sellers leave the lights on, they leave the, you know, closet doors open, cupboard doors open. So as the buyer, you can actually go in and have a good look at the home without being nervous about touching things. And then we also use hand sanitizer and gloves in situations as well as masks. So our job is to make sure that you feel really comfortable and safe with looking, as well as making sure that that seller feels like their home was being respected at the same time.
That's a really good point, Sheryl, that people have a peace of mind and that people are really selling their homes right now and people are buying their homes right now. I think anytime you're prepared for a future decision, it's a great idea. I think your first step is to contact that mortgage broker. Remember, your mortgage broker can help you get pre-qualified for that new purchase and discuss your mortgage options. There's so many innovative products right now with the lenders and COVID-19 that are coming out. I'm going to give you an example of one lender that we use. They're promoting 3 for free, which means on a purchase, they'll pay the interest for you on that mortgage payment for the first 3 months. It's on them. So on a mortgage of $325,000 at a rate of 2.64 with a 25-year amortization, your regular payment would be about $1,481.02. But for the first 3 months, the lender will pay the interest. Add it all up together, it's about $2,139. I think a lot of people could use that $2,139 right now if like people are downsizing. There's moving expenses, utility hookups, maybe even help them with their lawyer fees. I just want to remind people, a key to remember is a mortgage broker has several options. It's not just the mortgage rate anymore that's important.
No, and I think that's so important, Sandy, because I've even seen it over the years where I ask if people want to sell, and I have to get them to talk to their mortgage broker first to find out, is there penalties? So I think that education portion is huge.
Absolutely.